Hello everyone, my name is Devin Halco. I'm the band director at Provo High School. This is a screen capture recording of the content that we covered in Friday's program meeting for folks who weren't able to attend. Up first, we got a lovely picture from New York City on Times Square. The New York trip was quite awesome. Our goals for this school year, the 2025 school year, I wanted to keep building on our performance achievement, as well as I wanted to fundraise $20,000 across the whole program. Um, Between the New York trip and other needs of the program, we needed to increase fundraising. Um, in the fundraising category, as of Friday, we have fundraised over $18,000 so far, and there are still three more opportunities. The first one is a Zupa's Family Night coming up Tuesday, May 12th. That is also the same day as our tech rehearsal for the high schoolers at Provo High, but we should all be out in time to go to that afterwards. Um, and then the Orem Fest Parade in June will help contribute towards that as well. And then there's a third opportunity that I can't comment on publicly yet, but I'm hoping that'll come into place for us before the end of June. Um, in terms of our performance, all of the programs had really tough years ahead of them with some changes. And in terms of critical acclaim, we took a slight step back. But the Intermediate Jazz's work with the Real Easy Book Volume 1 is setting a trend in jazz education in Utah. And each of the programs saw significant growth across all the different categories in terms of enrollment, things like that. Getting specific in marching band, the marching band competed in the 4A Open Division for the first time. This wasn't my choice, it was based on our growth as well as some other changes in the circuit. And it put us in a tough spot, and we went swing for swing for most of the season. I'll talk more about that during the marching band section. Our winter programs, so indoor percussion and winter guard, showed significant growth in similarly difficult divisions. Our winter guard competed in a division of like 17 winter guards or something like that, and made a lot of growth there, as well as some critical acclaim from Coral and Bella for their solo and ensemble production, taking third place in their division. Likewise, indoor percussion was competing against a lot of schools that were significantly bigger than we are, but still holding their own. In the concert realm of things, Wind Symphony went to region and got 3-1 minus ratings. Symphonic Band got 3-2 ratings. Neither of them qualified for state, but that is the best showing that Symphonic Band has had in my 6 years at Provo High. And then Wind Symphony, we had a bit of an unfortunate hiccup with our final piece on the stage that we were at, but I'm still wicked proud of the growth that the ensemble put into preparing those pieces. Advanced Jazz, we missed qualifying for state by a half rating in that department, but we were also sharing our drummers with chamber choir based on how the school schedule was built this year. Again, not my choice, but what we had to work with. So considering that our drummers were, again, basically donating their lunch to help jazz band be successful, I am wicked proud of these students and what they pulled off. And I talked earlier about Intermediate Jazz's work with the Real Easy book, and there may be some opportunities coming their way soon based on that work. Lastly on this slide, I got to shout out Eleanor and Jared and George for their hard work on their instrumental solos at Region, getting ones, and then getting 1 minuses at the state festival back in April. Looking forward, there are two broad categories I want to look at for our goals for next year. I want to improve student leadership, but I want to do that across the board. In marching band, leadership is almost a built-in tradition. You have your drum majors, your captains, your section leaders, but we don't always have that in the concert end of things. And I want to do more inclusion in that area. I love marching band, but I realize a large portion of our students choose not to participate in marching band. I think there's educational outcomes that are being left behind by that, but I want to make sure that students have these opportunities to develop those leadership skills, regardless of what part of the band program they participate in. And then likewise, I want to also focus on individual outcomes. Particularly, this is looking at attendance, grades, individual music preparation, and individual accountability. Some ways to do that. I want to make sure that to elect or select leaders from each activity and course. Most of the marching band leadership is in place already. The class-based leadership probably will not develop until about Labor Day, when students are in the correct classes, they've had a chance to meet each other, maybe even some diet campaigning before we start selecting leaders from each of the classes. What they would do with that is they would meet with me. I'm going to say regularly. I don't want to do this every single week, but ideally once a month or in preparation for an event. So we can look at future performances, um, and kind of getting their peer-to-peer pulse. I am a teacher, and I try to have a good rapport with my students, but I am ultimately their teacher and I'm an adult. There are things that I simply will not know in that regard, things that I should not know. They are the ones sitting next to them in math class and in lunch, and seeing kid A breaking up with kid B and oh, their hearts were so broken. That's not my business. But peer to peer, they know the needs of their fellow high schoolers, to look at what kids need. Likewise, peer to peer recruitment and retention has proven to be the most effective way to build programs larger, which is something that we need to do, but also to deepen the meaning or to deepen the quality of those person to person connections. Likewise, lastly, we need help coordinating fundraising and events. There's a couple event opportunities that we may have this year that will require significant time investment from student leaders and parents and friends and families that surround our program. And I hope you forgive me for 30 seconds. I got to turn off the oven. And we're back. So that's the one end of student leadership. Moving to the second area of individual outcomes. Um, this is not a one or two person thing, but I've seen enough individual tragedies that I decided to make a systemic shift in how I approach attendance and academic performance. Um, so I can get a Power School report every 2 weeks based on attendance, academics, things like that. For activities, you need to be in school the same day that you have rehearsal. For performing groups, or sorry, for classes, you need to be in class the day of your rehearsals. Um, and this is not to talk about, for example, orthodontics. That is a whole schedule. Kids miss small chunks of time at regular intervals to take care of this important medical procedure. That's not what I'm talking about. Illnesses happen. I'm also of the vein, as much as I appreciate the dedication, if you're sick in the morning, too sick to go to school, go to work, we shouldn't ask you to do that again in the evening. Um, so students need to be in class. And then part of, I've mentioned Intermediate Jazz's success this year, part of it was they effectively had individual pass-offs every single day. And I'm working with the content I have right now, as well as some content experts, to find ways to expand this, not only to the concert band area where we already have it, and I'm looking at a deeper level of implementation this year, but also into the percussion area to make sure our percussionists are developing from their middle school skills as 8th graders coming into 9th grade, all the way up to matching the skills that our graduating seniors have, that they've largely done through Provo City Indoor Percussion and Marching Band, not necessarily through the percussion class. My apologies. I used AI to try to make this look a little prettier, but it kind of failed a little bit. Classes. Classes are Provo High School courses. They have a course code. They have an instructional period. You get a grade that gives you credit towards graduation. And note, our band classes are what they call co-curricular, meaning the instruction takes place during the day, but there are activities that take place outside of the school day. Whether it be clinics, rehearsals, performances, etc. Those are included with the grade. So for jazz students, jazz bands are on A days, intermediate jazz is 3rd period, advanced jazz is 4th period. For concert band and percussion, percussion is 1B this year, with Wind Symphony on 3B and Symphonic Band on 4B. The rosters for the advanced classes, so advanced jazz and for Wind Symphony, have been shared with the middle school teachers and the Provo High School counseling department, as well as they're posted outside room F118 at Provo High. Students that are on that list should be able to add that class without issue. Students that wish to take a concert band or a jazz class should sign up for the intermediate class unless they're on that list. All percussion students, intermediate, advanced, should sign up for the 1B percussion class. So I talked about classes. Those are during the day with a course code. Activities are after school, and there's not a course code associated with it. They carry a higher fee. These will have usually at minimum 8 to 9 hours a week. During competitive weeks or during camps, that can go upwards of 20 hours. For band camp, we push 50 plus hours that week. The overall calendar schedule is August through November for marching band, and then November through April for Winter Guard and Provo City indoor percussion. Some policy reminders. Whenever we travel anywhere, students need to travel with the ensemble that they're performing with. Parents are welcome to check students out after the event is over, but students are not allowed to just jump in their Jeep and drive to the next town over for an event. There are occasions where if we are performing within Provo City School District that students can meet us there. Those are very limited exceptions, and those will be clarified ahead of time. But even, for example, our Freedom Festival, 4th of July parade, because of how they have traffic routed, we can't just do that. So there are, again, unique exceptions, but those exceptions require a waiver form. Students interested in playing in jazz band, they need 1 high school credit of their respective concert ensemble. So if you are a saxophone, trombone, or trumpet player, or if you're doubling on one of those instruments, you need to take a concert band class. Now you can do your double. For example, I am a euphonium player. There are no euphoniums in jazz band. However, I took a concert band class on euphonium, and then I did jazz on trombone, and I did on trumpet too. Or for the rhythm section folks, if you're a drummer, you need to be in the percussion class. If you're a bassist, you need to be in an orchestra class. For piano and guitar, you need to be in a respective band class of some sort, whether you're a percussionist who plays guitar or a flute player who plays piano. Those are different options that we have as far as making sure everyone has that high school credit for their respective ensemble. And then lastly over here, Code of Conduct. Students need to abide by the PCSD Code of Conduct regarding grades, attendance, behavior. Attendance tracking is now strictly monitored, and you need to be in class and in your rehearsal. I cannot stress this enough. I want to have a very successful band program, and I think that starts with having very successful students. And one of the biggest keys to success, the most direct correlations, it's not money, not jobs, it's are you in class? Must be present to win. Like I said earlier, I used AI to generate some of this slideshow. The content is mine, but I used AI to make it look a little bit nicer. This one was so bad I was tempted to delete it, but the more and more you look at it, the worse it gets. Like, these trombones have 2 mouthpieces each. I think this trombone is almost lower accurate. The trigger over here is a little weird, but these trumpets have like 6 valves and just the mouthpiece is sideways. The tuba is close, I think, but even the piston, I can't tell if those are pistons or rotors, but yeah. Anyway, AI picture for your giggles. Fees. How much does it all cost? So marching band has a $700 fee, and then the winter activities charge up to $600. However, in years past, they've typically charged as low as $450, I believe it was this year. That number will not exceed $600. For the classes, those are $50 to $100, and that's to help cover instrument repairs, upkeep, clinicians, event fees, new specialty instruments that we need for a piece, things like that. There are additional possible costs. So, for example, marching band folks need shoes. I try to do a hoodie each year. If you want extra shirts, you can buy those. And then also, I can charge if people are neglectful or dangerous with their instruments. I just say this every year to clarify. There are accidents that happen all the time. We had a kid step on a saxophone on accident. It was a complete accident. The kid felt terrible. I'm not going to charge them for that. We've had kids take tumbles during marching band. Oops. I'm not going to charge for that. I'm talking about people who, like, I left my saxophone outside all weekend. Those types of things. The kids juggling their trombones in the parking lot. That's not safe. That's dangerous. That's neglectful. Those are damages I might charge for. So don't panic. Accidents happen. I'm aware of that. But as long as people are being safe and responsible, there's no charges to worry about. The inflationary elephant in the room. Prices have been going up. Pain at the pump, as some of the people in the news call it. Band costs are affected by that as well. For example, whenever we travel, occasionally I'm feeding students or other costs that go into that. That's affected by those price changes. My first priority is to reduce spending when I can, to make sure that the costs that are being charged meet the costs that we're being met with in our activities and in our classwork. The second priority, and this is something that it was a goal last year. It's not the goal this year, but I want to continue to expand it this year, is to increase donations and community support. The final option is adjusting fee structures as a last resort. And even then, doing that mid-school year is very difficult on purpose because the school board wants to protect parents and families. Past due fees and payment plans. So registration policy. Students with past due fees cannot register for 2026-27 activities until they've paid their bill from last year or an approved payment plan is in place. I understand the activity takes place on a 4 to 6 month frame, but a lot of families run their budget on a 12-month frame. And if you need to break that up over a year and you've worked it out with the finance office and your administrator, I will back you up on that. But I do want to make sure that we're not allowing students and families to accrue extra debt on top of debt by not taking care of things that have already been finished. This is a fairly standard practice across all the marching arts, where if there's a group that's not associated with the school, if you have a bill with them, they will ask you to pay that bill in full before you begin a new season. Or if you transfer from one group to another, they'll say, have you paid all your bills at your last group before letting you join a new group? Activity payment schedule. So for marching band, I have been asked to give some checkpoints throughout the season. So $200 by band camp, but another $200 by our first competition in September, and then have the remainder of the balance due by fall break, so that we can make sure that everything is paid for before we go to St. George. Likewise, the winter group's been asked to have a similar checkpoint. I've given some dates here. Those are subject to change based on how much the fee is and those checkpoints within their seasons. One question that came up during our in-person meeting is the district doesn't like to give refunds for fundraising. So let's say you're doing marching band, $700, and you pay all $700, but our first fundraiser money comes back in November for $200. Well, they give you your $200 back because you fundraised $200. They don't like to do that. I will back you up in that department of, hey, we've worked hard, we've paid our fees, we've done our fundraising as well, and they should be able to do that because the district is also insisting that we pay these faster while also being difficult as far as giving refunds. I think at the end of the day, as long as we're working hard and making sure that our fees are taken care of, that is priority number one in terms of the budget keepers at the district. Fundraising opportunities. There is a great story about this mattress costume. Basically, he was going to come present at a marching band rehearsal, and he was running late and decided to do 35 on Center Street, and Provo PD caught him. So he showed up late in a mattress costume. The great crime is that he wasn't wearing said mattress costume when he got pulled over. Anyway, we have lots of different opportunities that we're looking at for the 2026-27 school year. I am looking at some event hosting opportunities where we can pull together, several dozen parent volunteers, student volunteers to help run events and bring in money that way. I am looking at some product sales. Our Texas Roadhouse Roll fundraiser was about a third of that fundraising I mentioned earlier. We're also looking at donations such as banners and things like that, as well as sponsorships. For example, we'll get to him in the marching band portion of this meeting. Justin Taylor is now a Vader percussion educator, which helped to bring our percussion costs down significantly. Sales, so our summer parades, those bring in money for our program. We also participate in community rentals such as Horizon Indoor Percussion, and I am looking to apply to host an IMPA indoor percussion show this year, which on the low end brings in a couple $1,000s, on the high end can bring in 5 figures. As well as the aforementioned product sales, Texas Roadhouse, pies. We've done swig cards in the past. I'm looking at some other options as well to help bolster student fundraising. There's other ways to give money, whether it be student banners in the stadium or on South Field. I've been trying to get a way to design and wrap our trailer in a way that those sponsors can contribute towards us. For example, if you look at our trailer right now, there's one sponsor, and that was the trailer company who made that contribution before they became a major trailer company. And so they have been giving us discounted repairs, etc. on that, but opening that up to other people who want to support the band. We haven't had flyers or programs at our concerts, but getting those put together and selling advertisement in those as well. And then other things that I want to help support families with is getting family and friends like a jump start of, hey, here's a picture of my child. Here's all some things they do, and they're trying to raise money for marching band, for indoor percussion, or even the class fees, and have friends and family chip in that way. Likewise, you can send a My Student Fees guest sign in, and like again, anyone in the world can jump into that and donate money to the program with zero overhead. There are plenty of like fundraising platforms that will ask for people to donate money, and then they'll take anywhere from 1 to 10% off the top. My Student Fees is the payment portal at Provo High School, so they can just put it in there as a donation with zero tax, zero fee. Moving forward to communications. Sorry, my nose is just a little runny this morning. We use Discord for the majority of our band communications. Because Discord is a social media platform, I need to have a parent waiver in order to include the student in the Discord server. Parents are also allowed to be in the Discord server to keep an eye on things, to join the parent channel about different volunteer opportunities. If students are in the esports team with a waiver on file, they don't need to have a second waiver. This might be a little more visible in the video than it was live. The reason why I like Discord is it puts everything in one place. There are a lot of things that go on in band: marching band, indoor percussion, winter guard, concert bands, jazz bands. And if you do lots of these things, if you do marching band, and indoor percussion, concert band, and jazz band, it puts all of your notifications in one spot instead of a group me for marching band, a Slack for indoor percussion, a group text for color guard. Keeps everyone in one spot. And then likewise, there are some people who only choose to do one thing. It's like, oh, I just do concert band. Then you can just click concert band roll, and that's all you'll get notifications for. You won't be bothered with jazz band stuff or marching band stuff. Our Discord is moderated. I moderate it. Our staff have moderation tools. My cousin is a stay-at-home mom and a former crossing guard over at Franklin, who helps keep an eye on the server as well. Yeah, I already talked again about how it kind of keeps everything in one spot. Let's see. Oh, I've got to thank some people before I move on. I really enjoy our strong music culture in Provo. We've done a lot of hard literature this year, and I can tell that kids are going home and they're practicing it, that you're supporting them in that. Thank you. That is the lifeblood of a music program, is the music good? Thank you for supporting kids in that. I've also seen a lot of peer-to-peer support and inclusion from our students. I'm really proud of how we represent our community, and as well as our participation in community events, whether it be parades with the marching band or community concerts with the jazz band. We've had more parents reaching out and volunteering their time and their means to help support the program. And I'm seeing more and more people being included and invited to participate. Just a quick glance at our calendar for this year. This might not be as visible with my, there it is. So, on the left, there's a lot of marching band stuff on there, but some dates for everybody to consider. Parent-teacher conferences are on Thursday, September 17th. First day of school is August 19th. State marching band is almost always the first week of November. We have our semester one concert. It's like fall, winter concert all in one. Will be on November 11th with a tech rehearsal the day before. That also means that we won't have another concert band performance the rest of the semester. We'll use that time in November and December to get ready for solo and ensemble, for band bash, etc. Jazz band has the usual events in there, and as well as winter break. Some dates, getting a sneak peek ahead into spring. Band bash is February 9th. Solo and ensemble is at Provo High again. Region Jazz is at Timpanogos in March. I don't know if BYU Concert Band is this same weekend, but that's where it usually falls. Region Concert Band is at Uinta this year, so we're going to have a bit of a day trip, so to speak. Snow College Band Festival. Our final concert this year, in just under the lid of the crazy calendaring situations we're in, the school's asked me to has asked all the performing arts to have their concerts earlier in the semester so that they're not conflicting with end of semester activities. And we got pushed to the front of that at the end of April, right before State Solo and Ensemble. And then Wind Symphony plays at graduation this year. My estimate is May 26th. That depends on when we actually get UVU. This bottom right corner by my face in the video, right over here, um, is I'm not sure if you can find. No, I can't find it in the video. But if you go to the signature of my email, in fact, you probably got this video link in an email. Um, it'll have my signature for this year. Dream big, work hard, and then it'll have links to all these different calendars. Again, I divided this up so that people can find just what they need. If you're just in color guard, you just want the color guard calendar. You don't need the indoor percussion calendar because that's not your activity, or vice versa. But if you are a drummer in indoor percussion and concert band and jazz band and marching band, you're going to want all four of those calendars. So again, you can kind of choose your own adventure. Um, at this point, I'm going to pause this recording and do a second video about marching band stuff. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, devenh@provo.edu.